Right now, misinformation spreads faster than facts, especially on the most sensitive global stories. NVP uses uncensored AI analysis to verify the most controversial topics and separate signal from propaganda in real time. Instead of guessing who to trust, you can see structured verification and analysis behind every major issue. Hello everyone, welcome back to another live stream, and thank you so much for tuning in to another show and another update for the 6th day of the 4th or True Promise 4 operations that Iran is conducting following the Israeli-American aggression against Iran. It began with an attack against an American-Israeli asset in Azerbaijan, and several videos were being published about this. We're going to talk all about that. Let me share this with you quickly. So that was the first strike in Azerbaijan coming from Iran. And of course, Azerbaijan, it has good relations with Iran, but it also had very good relations with Israel. The Israelis have assets in Azerbaijan, likewise with the United States of America. And Iran now decided to conduct operations against every asset in the region, including Azerbaijan. And what we're seeing now is an actual expansion of the ring of fire coming from Iran against every American asset, and a confirmation from the IRGC that the United States is actually using civilian buildings after fleeing their actual bases. They're monitoring that, and the IRGC is confirming that. What does this mean, of course, with this attack in Azerbaijan, alongside all of the other attacks that are coming now, more reports of the damage and additional attacks in Al-Udeid base, in addition to the effects and impacts that came yesterday following the Iranian strike against the Israeli Ministry of Defense and the Kiryat hub, something that Israel censored very heavily. What are the IRGC saying now? The IRGC are saying that the armed forces monitor U.S. military use of civilian facilities in host countries. Host countries, not one of them. The United States forces are going out of their actual bases, contrary to the denial coming from the United States of America, and they are using civilian infrastructure now to conduct their operations. Now, from an Iranian perspective, they also released more clarification that all of the attacks that are coming are against American assets used against our country without intending to harm anything to do with the civilian infrastructure or the actual hosting countries, but they have no other option. There was an additional statement in relation to the attack of the United States against the Iranian warship in international waters that was actually being hosted. And there's a stark warning coming from Iran this time following this attack. The IRGC also stated that Iran's military strength was beyond the estimates of the United States and Israel. The planning and practical coordination between the Iranian armed forces in separating targets on different fronts changed the equation of war. That's where the United States and Israel weren't really prepared for that. Some people thought that Iran would focus its attacks on Israel, but Iran took a strategic decision to diversify its attacks and go on an all-out front against every American and Israeli asset in the region. It doesn't matter which country it's coming from. And so far, the geographical scope is only expanding with this recent attack that took place against an American or Israeli asset in Azerbaijan, because we didn't have a clarification yet. And mind you, the president of Azerbaijan recently went on a visit to the Iranian embassy in Azerbaijan following the assassination of the supreme leader of Iran, to pay his respect to the Iranian embassy and Iranian staff. So Iran and the Azerbaijani side, they have a good relationship. However, they also have a good relationship with Turkey too. That was Aliyev recently in the Iranian embassy in Azerbaijan. So they have a good relationship, and they have a good relationship with Turkey too, but they're not going to let that good relationship stop them from conducting operations against assets that are being used against Iran under the excuse of, well, it's in Turkey or it's in Azerbaijan or it's in any other country, because the United States would use that. As a matter of fact, they're being criticized heavily. I posted a post that came from one of the senior business figures in the UAE, Khalaf al-Habtour. His name was criticizing the American President Donald Trump heavily and questioning him dragging the whole region to a war without any of these consequences against the demands of the American people, putting the country under so much strain, hosting countries too, without really taking into consideration any of these countries' interests in mind, and also potentially dragging the world to an additional escalation, dragged by Benjamin Netanyahu. This was one of the fiercest responses coming from a figure with a business or political in the UAE, but it represents a growing frustration from senior figures who are now speaking up more blatantly against these aggressions coming from Israel and the United States, because the United States, had it not calculated the impact that it's going to have, or the toll that its attack against Iran is going to have against its regional allies, that means it either neglected them or it didn't really care what happened to them. How can the United States and Israel go in cross a black line in the form of assassinating the supreme leader in Iran and having all of these massacres against school children, conduct these acts of terror in Iran, and not expect Iran to retaliate against every American asset in the region? Think about it logically. It's not possible. Anyone with a sane mind in the establishment in the United States would have known this. However, again, the American president is being dragged by Benjamin Netanyahu, and he's not really calculating anything to do with the strategic partnerships that the United States has with regional countries. Therefore, he went on this attack without calculating too much. And from his perspective, let everything explode. He'll only issue a warning to the Americans to get out of the region. And now Iran, the IRGC, is confirming that these people are using civilian infrastructure in these countries, not just their military installations. The IRGC also said that they target 20 American military targets in the region, including Bahrain, the UAE, and Kuwait, with precision and effectiveness. The IRGC said that our missiles penetrated the 7 layers of air defense in the occupied territories and caused hell for the enemies. They confirmed, the aerospace force, that they launched the Khorram Shahar 4 missile with a 1-ton warhead as part of its 19th wave of Operation True Promise 4. Now, this attack, they said they targeted Ben Gurion and the occupation army's 27th Air Base at the airport with Khorram Shahar 4 missiles. This is an exceptionally significant development, because the Khorram Shahar 4, you're talking about a missile that is one of Iran's big missiles. It's no toy. Khorram Shahar 4, that's the Khorram Shahar 4. And I'll show you some of the damage that was published from Israel yesterday, by the way. One of the most advanced missiles developed by aerospace experts of Iran's defense ministry, 2,000-kilometer range, highly explosive, up to 1,500-kilometer warhead. We're talking about something heavier than the explosives of an MK-84. radar evasive and resistant against electronic warfare, capable of pursuing targets in the middle phase, flying above the atmosphere at speeds over 16 Mach, equipped with a warhead capable of hitting targets with a speed of 8 Mach. In order to have tactical capabilities, the missile's engine is placed in its fuel tank. This has reduced its length to 13 meters. High impact velocity prevents anti-missile systems from tracking warhead and shooting down. Now, they already said, the IRGC, that they penetrated 7 layers of defense inside of Israel. And the damage that we saw yesterday from Israel, that was after I had the night live stream with you, was a substantial level of damage inside the occupied territories following this strike coming from Iran. Let's have a look at some of the damage that came out late at night yesterday following the Iranian attack. And again, it's unclear whether this was a result of the Khorramshahr 4 or another missile, but this was simultaneously coming with the 19th wave of operations. But then again, you know, Israel is being attacked by multiple fronts now, well, at least Hezbollah and Iran, and this was likely an Iranian hit. Have a look at this video. As you can see, I mean, buildings are vanishing from this attack. If this was the Khorramshahr 4 landing, and that was near the Ministry of Defense, reportedly the attacks that Iran conducted were against the Ministry of Defense and the hub area, and we can see those buildings surrounding them that resemble, of course, the Ministry of Defense or the Kiryat, and expensive cars too. So clearly, you know, we're talking about one of the more posh locations next to the Israeli Kiryat and hub. So substantial damage happened last night after we had the live stream. There were also videos of the missile launching of the Khorramshahr 4. Now, the United States is saying that they disabled Iran's missile launching capabilities. Some people are referring to a decrease in Iran's missile attacks in the region. However, all of that information is completely detached from reality. The only thing that Iran is doing is attacking and diversifying the attacks. There would be certain pauses when the enemy is conducting attacks within Iran, but they're actually revealing the videos of the launches. Have a look at this. So this was reported to be the Khorramshahr 4, and again, the damage, that's the damage that you can see here in Israel. Thankfully, despite the censorship, the very, very heavy censorship that happened last night in Israel, there were still some videos being published. However, no videos yet of the attack against the military hub in the Ben Gurion airport. So could potentially be due to the fact that it was very late. Iran is attacking Israel at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. These hours, it's not like there's a range. It's not like a nighttime, no attacks, or they'll just have an evening attack or late night attack. Round the clock. All of the attacks are round the clock. The sirens don't stop, and in some cases the sirens aren't even activated, which indicates that Iran is targeting at any given moment, which gives Israel more trouble in intercepting any of these attacks coming from Iran. Now, there were more statements coming from the IRGC in relation to some of the recent operations that took place in the whole region. Of course, they said that they conducted attacks against the 27th Air Base, the 19th wave of operation. These were some of the attacks that took place in the 19th wave of operation. And they also sent warnings. One of the commanders, actually the deputy commander of Khatam al-Anbiya headquarters, Amir Haidari, stated that the country will not rest until it breaks the spine of America, pointing out that Tehran will put an end to this war only when it feels like it had achieved its objectives that it set. Serious statements again of longevity. This was Amir Haidari who made this statement, by the way. They won't stop until they break the spine of the United States and achieve all of the objectives of the war that they set. Probably the fifth or sixth statement coming from an IRGC official about the longevity of the war and the fact that Iran isn't planning to stop, and they will be the ones deciding when this war will actually stop against the United States and Israel following the continued aggression. Now, the Iranian foreign minister, he made an important statement following the act of terrorism coming from the United States against the Iranian Navy. He said that the US has perpetrated an atrocity at sea 2,000 miles away from Iran's shores. Frigate Dena, a guest of India's Navy carrying almost 130 sailors, was struck in international waters without warning. Mark my words, the US will come to bitterly regret precedent it has set. The United States will bitterly regret, according to a post he posted on X, this act coming from them against this Iranian Navy ship that was a host to India in international waters without prior warning. Now, even at war, usually with anything to do with international waters, there are laws, there are rules, but the United States is clearly not interested in anything to do with international law or anything to do with the engagements that are happening. And they are conducting just completely illegal acts everywhere they like to try and achieve an image of victory, or to try and show that it's causing a lot of damage against Iran, for example. Now, this is the damage scene. There was a video being posted of the actual landing when this missile landed. Let's have a look at this video. So what we can see in this video, by the way, just for your attention, is two missiles landing. This was one of them, and there was another one slowly deeper inside. That one over there. One or two, excuse me, two or three. But the important bit here is that this is close to what Iran is saying, of course. This is matching what Iran is saying. Oh, that's the other missile. As you can see, it's deeper inside rather than closer out, which indicates that the accuracy of, firstly, the Iranian statement, two, the fact that these are very likely to be the Khorram Shahar missiles landing, because nothing is working. Look at the air defense systems, how many missiles Israel is using. None of them are capable of even coming close. They're not even detecting the missile. Israel is just activating them in the hope that they would do something. But the missile is landing without any sort of interception whatsoever. So this is very likely the 19th wave that took place last night, that was recorded overnight and published this morning. And the attack was against an Israeli army base inside of the Ben Gurion area, 27th Army unit or something in the Ben Gurion area, and also the Ministry of Defense, as we can see in this video here, from the central parts of Tel Aviv. Substantial damage, a lot of damage, damage that Israel clearly is trying to hide, but it's very difficult for them to hide this, even with the level of suppression and censorship that are taking place inside of Israel now. And the difficulty is, again, you know, Iran is conducting these attacks late at night. So you won't see many people out, like 2:15 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Most people are probably trying to sleep. It's difficult to sleep with all of these sirens 24/7. But some people would try to, of course. And if Iran is attacking in these times, it would be difficult to get some videos out. However, thankfully, some people would still be posting videos, and that's clearly, you know, before the arrival of additional security forces, which gives people an opportunity to actually record something and avoid censorship. Significant damage and serious damage. Iran's capability is increasing. They're using advanced missiles. The attacks that are coming from the United States and Israel against Iran are not stopping them. Now, they didn't just attack the asset in Azerbaijan. There was reportedly another attack against Al-Udaid base in Qatar. The United States removed the majority of its assets from Al-Udaid, knowing that it's going to be attacked heavily, which again, by the way, takes away the argument of the United States in supporting the Arab countries. They removed assets so that they can limit their losses. Of course, there are still many targets to hit, and I'm going to show you what Iran targeted and how Al-Udaid actually looks like. But that indicates that the United States knew what was coming, and they couldn't care less about their own people's lives and the hosting countries too. All they cared about is taking out some of these assets so that they aren't damaged, to minimize losses in their fighter jets. This is coming from Al-Udaid base this morning, according to multiple reports. So again, a lot of damage Iran is causing in these areas. And they're trying to say that, you know, Iran's capabilities are less and they're not actually doing much lately and nothing is happening. That's far from the truth. So, multiple attacks on Gulf bases. The UAE said that one ballistic missile, and 6 drones landed today. And this was from next to an asset in Qatar, let alone, of course, the destruction that is taking place inside of Israel with continuous attacks 24/7. So what are the Russians doing? What are the Chinese doing? Many people are saying, what are these countries doing? They're allies with Iran. Are they helping them? They're not helping them. The Russian foreign minister made a statement today, and he said that they're going to make Israel and America's actions against Iran impossible. He did not clarify too much how, but let's listen to what he had to say.
Our strategic partners, and we'll continue to maintain dialogue with these countries, and we'll do our best to, including with other countries of the international community, in the United Nations Security Council, and the United Nations General Assembly. We'll do everything to create an atmosphere that will make this operation impossible.
We will make sure to make an atmosphere that would make this operation impossible. What does he mean by an atmosphere that would make this operation impossible exactly? Is it through economic means? Is it through direct participation? Is it by giving Iran something that is potentially game-changing? Listen, Iran's enriched uranium so far, so we spoke about the nuclear. And the fact that Iran, the supreme leader who had a religious decree to ban nuclear weapons, passed away. And many are viewing this now, and he had that, of course, despite multiple voices in Iran and outside of it telling him to, no, actually you need to have weapons. Now with his passing, that decree is gone. There are multiple statements coming in from Iran, from Iranian diplomats, that is very likely that they're going to declare that they have nuclear bombs. But how is Iran going to do that? And of course, one of Russia's things could be, well, they'll hand Iran a couple of nuclear bombs. It doesn't matter the level of enriched uranium, by the way, in the bomb, because usually a nuclear bomb is at least 90% enriched. But Iran can have some bombs with at least 60% or even less than that. The IAEA, I believe, consider anything with 20% or above enrichment to be a nuclear weapon. And based on that, Iran can declare that it has 28 nuclear bombs in no time. That's not going to be a very big problem for them. That's something that will be making it impossible too, because they could create a deterrence. But in terms of Russia, Russia has multiple cards. Russia has multiple cards, not only in Europe, but across the world too. They are already given and have given Iran important equipment to do with electronic warfare. It caused a lot of damage, and it prevented an internal problem inside of Iran, because the equipment and the electronic warfare weapons that were granted to Iran by China, and reportedly by Russia and China too, made the Iranians get hold of all of the Mossad operatives and the CIA operatives inside of Iran when they were trying to use the Starlink and with other attempts. And now the level of accuracy coming from Iran, according to some reports, is with the help and support of Chinese and Russian satellite imagery. Listen, the United States before, they blamed Russia of giving Ansarullah in Yemen accurate, live satellite information to target American and Israeli assets in the Red Sea. And all of these things that happen, such as this, are not seen So there's nothing that you can see or Russian forces moving in, but they have actions on the ground. That's the impact that the Russians and Chinese look for. From their perspective, if they give Iran enough accurate information, not just Iran, by the way, potentially other groups, like I said, the United States, there were voices blaming Russia in giving Yemen accurate info and advanced warning on US fleet movements in the Indian Ocean or anywhere across the world that go beyond publicly available satellite imagery and flight radar detection and what have you, because they can switch off their radar systems. But again, Russia and China would have information and technology. And that would lead eventually to targeted and successful attacks. So if the Russians are giving Iran and Yemen, for example, accurate information about this, it would be exceptionally important. Now, breaking news now, according to a couple of sources, that the Iranian General Command is saying that Israel is in charge of the drone operation inside of Azerbaijan. That's a breaking report now. Israel is in charge of the attack in Azerbaijan. In case you haven't seen it and you're joining us now, this was the drone attack in Azerbaijan. And according to some reports now circulating, it was actually Iran is blaming Azerbaijan. I'm trying to get to the bottom of this report, by the way, and see if multiple sources, because this source is Lebanese. Yeah, multiple sources are saying that the Zionist entity is responsible for the drone operation inside of Azerbaijan. So we can clearly see a pattern here. Israel and the Israeli Mossad are working on conducting operations simultaneously with Iran's actual operations to instigate something bigger, because Iran isn't denying that it has operations, but Israel is looking to expand it further. We heard reports that the Mossad was trying to do stuff in Qatar, and that Israel was in charge of the attack of Aramco. And now multiple sources are saying that it was actually Israel, the Zionist entity, is responsible for this attack. Several sources, I saw at least 3 sources so far confirming that. And the United States and Israel are attacking more schools. Iran confirmed that they targeted 2 additional schools inside of Iran. By the way, that's the official denial. So it's very important that you see this. So the General Command of the Armed Forces of Iran, they completely deny launching drones towards Azerbaijan, and they confirm and reiterate Iran's respect for the sovereignty of each of the neighboring countries. The enemy's entity is conducting these operations to destabilize the relationship between the countries of the region and blaming Iran. So that's verified now, 100%. Iran says that Israel is in charge of this operation in Azerbaijan. That would create, that could create a problem. Because listen, what happens with these things is, as soon as this report came out before of Iran attacking Azerbaijan, without Iran, of course, saying anything, there were already voices condemning Iran. So Israel is trying to have this impact, like what happened with Aramco. Everyone thought Iran is targeting Aramco, and it would already cause damage. So many people wouldn't necessarily wait for the verification process. Like I even told you about this report as it came out, but now there's a denial. So we're going to have to change that up slightly. So what Israel is trying to do here is basically cause friction and potentially drag more countries towards its side. But that can flip against it heavily, by the way, because what the Israelis are not clearly reading properly, because of the high level of arrogance that they have, is that there are already many voices inside of the Gulf states criticizing what Israel is doing, and the United States. Like I said, the voices from the UAE, from Saudi Arabia, from Qatar, from Kuwait, from Bahrain, from multiple Arab Gulf countries, criticizing what the United States and Israel is doing. So now, by Israel having this attack, that could create more tensions between them, that could actually flip against them. So guys, we'll wrap it up here for the first part, for the first live stream of the day. I'll be with you this evening with another live stream to talk about the developments of this and the additional waves that are coming from Iran and all of the other updates too. In the meantime, guys, thank you so much again for tuning in to another live stream. Stay blessed, take care, and I will see you very soon in the next video. Peace, everyone. Salam. Right now, misinformation spreads faster than facts, especially on the most sensitive global stories. NVP uses uncensored AI analysis to verify the most controversial topics and separate signal from propaganda in real time. Instead of guessing who to trust, you can see structured verification and analysis behind every major issue.